Hello, everybody. This is Billy123, Jacksonville Jaguars fan, and I'm here to talk about some stuff about football and the NFL. And yeah. So first things first, I just wanted to say, check out this video, or check out the video that I made with my friend Vince for Life on his channel. It's basically an interview. He's interviewing me on I think about the draft and how how I I'm overall just doing. So we talk about football and stuff like that, or we mainly talk about the Jags, but yeah, we talk about some stuff. So with that out of the way, welcome to my channel. This is Jaguars and Lakers talk here. So I'm going to be talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Los Angeles Lakers, two of my favorite teams in two different leagues. So let's get started. Also, I'm going to be talking about some teams that I think are contenders and some teams that I think are pretenders. So let's do it. Let's get away with it. So first things first, I just wanted to say that the Jags should trade their number one pick down because we don't need an edge rusher. We don't need a defensive line guy. We need a we need a we need receiving weapons and secondary weapons. So I think we should trade that pick down to some pick to get Drake London and some pick to get a defensive back. My friend Julian or Finch for Life was telling me how my boy Finch for Life was telling me how Derek Stinley Jr. is available from LSU and we should consider trading down for him and Drake London. So I think that's something we should do. And then another thing, um, I just wanted to say how we should trade the number one pick for, yeah, basically that's it about the Jags. That's all I had to say about the Jags. And now let's talk about contenders and pretenders. So I think a team that's a pretender is the Chargers. I think they're a pretender just because they're not really, you know, doing that well against like really good teams. I mean, yeah, they beat the Bengals. They blew out the Bengals. They they beat the they beat the who did they beat? They beat a lot of teams, but they almost beat the Chiefs. Yeah, they lost to the Texans, and that's my main concern. They lost to the Texans, and yeah, I don't think Justin Herbert and that entire team has enough playoff experience to really make it past the wild card or the divisional. I think they're going to lose in the wild card game. That's just my opinion, though. So I think that team doesn't have enough experience. Going on to my next team that I think is a pretender is the Raiders. They started off 3-0. I don't think they're pretenders just because their team. I think they're pretenders because they don't have the guys. Like, sure, their record is good. They're in the hunt. If they win this week, they're in the playoffs, but I don't think they're making it past the wild card. Derek Carr would have to will his team to the point of him maybe even getting injured because they have Deshaun Jackson, they have Zay Jones, Hunter Renfro, and Darren Waller, who I think is out. Their offensive line isn't bad, but their defense is pretty good, but they just keep losing players due to like trouble outside the field. So I definitely think their secondary is a little bit leaky because they lost Damon Arnett and the other guy, I forgot his name, the one that got charged for a DUI after they beat the Colts. So yeah, I think that's definitely a problem. But if they do make the playoffs by beating the Chargers, I don't think they'll make it past the wild card. So I think they're pretenders. A team that I think is a contender is definitely the Bengals because they can beat the Chiefs, they can stay in it with the Packers like they did in week 5. So if it's a Packers-Bengals Super Bowl, it's going to be a very entertaining game. A team that I think is a contender, another team that I think is a contender is the Titans, as much as I hate them. I think they're definitely a contender just because, I think they're the best team tied with Green Bay when Derrick Henry is healthy, like we've seen it. So yeah, I think that they are definitely a contender, regardless of who they lost to. They lost to the Texans and Jets, which is a problem, but I think those are just scrap games. Another team that I think is a contender is the Chiefs. Obviously, I don't really have to get into that. They've made the Super Bowl 2 of the past 3 years. And yeah, so another team that I think is a contender, but not a Super Bowl contender, is the Bills. I think they either make the AFC Championship game or they lose in the divisional, because I don't really see them making the Super Bowl. Another team that I think is a contender is obviously the Patriots. And yeah, that's basically it for my contender pretender. Other than I wanted to talk about the Cowboys. So the Cowboys, they haven't beat a more than 10-win team this season. They lost to the Cardinals this week, and I don't really think that that's very good because the Cardinals were on a streak of losing streak. So I don't think that's good. But all in all, I think that the Cowboys definitely are contenders to get to the championship game. But I don't think they're going to make the Super Bowl. So they are contenders, but not Super Bowl contenders. So yeah. Now let's get on to Lakers talk. So Lakers talk, I mainly just wanted to talk about the problems in the organization with the locker rooms, or not really the locker rooms, more so the lineups that we've used. So the Lakers have had so many lineups, and I don't think any of them have played more than a full game together. So that's a problem. But I think as long as AD is injured, we should keep LeBron at center because I think we're undefeated with LeBron playing center. So I think we should definitely keep him there until AD comes back. And I think the Lakers fans just need to lay off on Westbrook because he is doing the best of his abilities at his current age. And I think that's pretty much good enough. And I mean, we aren't really doing well, and he's had his moments at his games, but overall, he's been doing pretty well here. So I don't think the Lakers fans need to be so critical on Westbrook. And that's basically all I had to say about that. One problem I have with the Lakers front office is that we're so cheap. Like, we can't re-sign Stanley Johnson when he's realistically been our main defender or one of our main defenders, even though he was only on a 10-day. So I think I should re-sign him to a cheap contract. And yeah, that's basically it. That's all I really had to say about the Lakers. And I think that's going to be it for today's video. See everyone.